Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you some AoE4 live coaching that I did recently on my stream. I'm going to bring on a guy called Spartain that I've been coaching for the past few weeks. And Spartain is quite interesting because he's been participating in a 2v2 tournament where he gets coaching from B. And he hit me up looking to improve before that tournament. They did incredibly well in the weekend. And then we were kind of talking about where to go next. And so we kind of just landed on switching a little bit away from the team setting and going over to something that's more transferable, which is practicing 1v1s. And so now we're just getting into the headspace of decision making, the tournament setting, not so much drafting, but more how to play Shushi at a higher level. So we are going to take a look at Shushi. We're going to talk about pro scouts, decision making in Castle Age, the different phases of the game as well. And that's going to happen over the course of 2 videos of this coaching. So I hope you guys enjoy this content. Let me know what you think about it. And if you like the content as well, don't be afraid to subscribe and like this video. Let's get into it. I was thinking I should pick one of those civs that you have more or less experience with. So a civ that you either struggle with or a civ that you are like, this civ, I feel I don't know how to answer, because that would be the easiest way for me to give you, feedback.
Okay. I feel like the knight civs are pretty straightforward then in that case. The more interesting ones, Roos was one of those more interesting ones because that one could be funky. It could play so many different ways.
Слушай, часо, накази банда.
Часо, я иду. Строю.
Готов есть.
Наказ.
Ползоротай есть. Скачок. Поребник есть. Готов есть. Ползоротай есть.
А? Тихо. Жду.
Поребник есть.
Слушайте. Куда иду? Задание. Готовы к дороге.
Накази банда. Накази банда. Да. Готов есть. Часо. Поребник есть. Позор. Ага. Готов есть. Ида. Накази. Ида. Позоротай есть. Поребник есть.
Что?
Слушайте.
Часо.
Накази банда.
Добываем.
Исполняем. Готов есть. Позоротай есть.
Готовы, если?
Доброго есть. Поребник есть.
Что?
Опасно есть. Позоротай есть. Готов есть.
Наказе Лондон. Да.
Поребник есть. Вооружисой!
Поребник есть скачен. Тихо.
Люди, сой! Готов есть.
Готово есть.
Позоротай есть. Добро есть.
Позоротай есть. Да.
Пореб готов есть. Слушай.
Разведчица.
Готов есть. Да.
Наказе.
Позоротай есть.
Идан. Поребник есть.
Поребник есть. Накази банда.
Готов.
Поребник есть. Скачон. Готов есть.
Позоротай есть.
Накази банда.
Позоротай есть.
Позоротай есть. Ага. Поребник есть.
Поребник есть.
Что? Наказ готов есть. Добро есть.
Наказе.
Позор накази банда. Да.
Готово.
Позоротай есть.
Does your shift click sometimes not work?
It can be funky.
Готов есть.
I've had that happen so many times when I'm trying to grab from the mill and it's just
But like
not doing
official?
what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's official thing. That's not necessarily a shift click thing.
Позоротай есть.
I'm not quite sure what it is about the way that that's set up, why it is that that doesn't work. But there are some workarounds by double clicking that you could try. I can show you after.
Накази. Позоротай. Идем. Готов.
Куда? И
Накази.
поребник есть.
Слушайте. Что? А? Гриндон надо быть внутрь. Часа. Ладно. Люди готовы. Вхожден. Готов есть. Да.
Наказе Лондон.
Скачон. Задник.
Добро есть.
Накази бонда.
Поребник есть.
Ага.
Что? Часо.
Готов.
Тихо. Готово есть.
Позоротай есть.
Да, поревник есть.
Слушай, Янсен.
Позоротай есть.
Люди готові.
А?
Готов є.
Труждай. Наказ.
Позоротай есть. Форевник есть.
Часок.
Форевник есть. Да. Позоротай есть. Испан гэп на карте Бонда. Идан.
Наказе Бондон.
На карте Бонда. Готов есть.
Поревник есть.
Слушайте наказ мой. Наказі соть. Наказі соть. Збирай.
Куда?
Готов есть.
Жду.
Форев скачен. Противный есть.
Добро есть. Готово есть. Часок.
Слушайте. Построенный есть. Ладно. Слушайте мой.
Позоротай готовится.
Ждите наказа. Каковик скачу куда велено. Слушайте. Люди ждут наказы. Слушайте. Добываю зверя.
Работа ждет.
Чего делать? Ждите. Беда есть. Ворог прииде. Повинуй.
Interesting.
Наказом следует.
Позоротай и готовись.
Obnoxious.
Готов. Позоротай. Направляй.
Very annoying for you because of the pathing.
Двигаюсь.
Yeah, exactly. The pathing is more annoying than anything.
Готово идти.
Приуготовляйтесь, все. Позоротай и готовись.
Поревник готово. Работа ждет.
Делай. Позоротай. Садитесь.
You got a stuck village as well.
Готов. Позоротай.
Yeah. Let my God free.
Поревницы готов. Поревницы готовись. Позоротай готов есть. Позоротай. Садитесь на коней. Готовы есть мы. Слушайте. Радуйся. Позоротай.
This reminds me of the early meta for I wouldn't pull bills here, by the way. Just like get your scouts.
That's fair.
You can. Not a big deal. You get it away. That's nice.
Слушайте.
Я здесь.
That was the intent, was just to get off of me.
Yeah.
Like, that was a bit of idle time for sure, but
Yeah. I think the next time you just want to make like one horseman because you can also use that horseman to contest you.
yeah.
Готов, труди. Радуйся. Люди, служите готовы.
Чего здесь возможно?
Слушай. Идите за мной. Готов есть мы. Сделаю. Позоротай. Ладно есть. Каковы могли. Идите за мной. Позоротай. Готовы есть мы. Люди.
Поревник наказом следую.
Слушайте, наказ. Повинуюся. Ждите сикупно. Слушайте. Нападаю на ворога. Слушайте. Чего делать надо? Рады. Накази будут. Поскору люди. Ждите наказа. Приуготовлен.
Добуду мясо.
Слушайте наказ. Слушайте, воины. Слушайте.
Позоротай готово есть.
Ждите наказ.
Чего делать надобно?
Слушайте. Слушайте наказ. Позоротай. Поревник.
Поревник готово есть. Повинуйся.
Слушайте, воины. Готов, труди, делай. Люди здесь. Слушайте наказ. Слушайте.
Какови наказе суть?
Слушайте. Какови наказ. Позоротай, готовись. Сделаю. Оружие к брани приуготовляй. Идите наказа. Слушайте, воины. Чего делать надо? Накази будут.
Работа ждет. Я здесь.
Люди здесь. Добро есть. Слушай.
Какови наказе?
Позоротай готов есть. Слушайте, позоротай. Нападаю. Садитесь на коне. Без сомнения. Слушайте.
Радуйся. Готов. Выхожу.
Слушайте. Дело есть.
Дело есть.
Ждите.
Радуйся. Иду.
Люди ждут. Приуготовляйтесь все. Люди, служите готовы. Слушайте наказ. Порепот.
Приуготовлю.
Направляюсь. Сие мне. Ладно есть.
Ворог близко.
Обскочу. Идите наказ.
It's a 1 HP horseman.
Слушайте. Двигаюсь.
Yeah, that was painful. I thought I was gonna lose it.
You did.
Слушайте наказ.
I did.
Наказе будут. Слушайте.
Работу сделаем сейчас.
Питание. Слушайте, воины. Двигаюсь. Ждите наказа. Слушайте наказ. Слушайте.
Чего делать надо?
Слушайте. Ждите.
Слушайте. Добуду мясо.
Слушайте, воины.
Готов. Я здесь.
Слушайте наказ.
Where are you going back there? I must not have scouted that like that's the one spot that I don't have scouted, and that's where my deer is.
So you haven't found your last deer, is what you're saying.
Nope.
Okay.
Yes, I am unfortunately saying that, and I know you've taken a good amount of them.
Yeah, you should always make sure that you know where all 5 relics are and where all deer packs are. And sometimes you can just infer it, right? You know you have that dark space. It's like, you know, in that fog of war, that's where you're gonna find your deers. And sometimes you know already.
Hmm.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
Люди приготовились. Наказ снов есть. Слушайте, какой наказ? Слушайте наказ. Куда направить? Вижу ворога. Ожидайте наказ.
Куда направляться?
Воины.
Готов, если служить.
Противный.
Повинуйся с честью. Сей
Ворог нападает.
повинуйся.
Разратай, готовь.
Что накажете?
Трудитесь надобно.
Какой наказ есть?
Разратай наказ.
Что накажете? Готово есть.
Готов, если служите. Направляюсь, куда наказ.
Обреток ворога.
Послуг. Направляюсь.
Ожидайте наказ. Направляюсь.
Готов. Ур.
Воины, скаки ради.
В ряду. Поражаю меня!
Слушай.
Готов. Готов, если служите. Луч.
Время.
Какой наказ? Луч. Слушаюсь.
Куда на путь? Влага есть.
Повинуй. Ватницы.
Слушайте наказ, но.
Лучницы, конь.
Ожидаем.
В ряду стоит.
Противный близ стоит. Наказ снов есть.
Ожидаем наказ.
Ожидайте наказ.
По репу направляюсь, куда наказано есть.
Исполняю.
Ожидайте. Луч. Сила. Ожидаем. Не захочет. Иду, куда наказано.
Приуготовляйтесь. Наказ снов есть.
Луч. Ватниц.
Воины. Наказ снов есть.
Ожидаем наказ. Ватниц.
Слушайте наказ.
Лучницы, кони. Напрямую.
Вижу ворога.
Готовы вы.
Приуготовляйтесь.
Какой наказ?
Трудитесь надобно.
Сила. Нет.
Слушайте все.
Слушай.
Добуду мясо.
Лучницы. В ряду. Ватницы наказа ожидают.
Слушайте наказ.
Ватниц. Готовы. Я все хочет. Слушаюсь. В ряду стоит. Ватницы. Наконец.
Слушайте наказ снов.
Латниц. Лучницы. Ожидаем. Все латницы готовы. Ожидаем. Жив и готов. Повинуй. Лучницы. Лучницы.
Wow, that was beautiful. I did not even see that.
Didn't see that we fought?
Лучник конный готов.
I didn't see the edge, that side. That was awesome.
Готов. Наказывай. Держите латницы. Латницы.
Люди! Сделано будет! И я куда?
Ожидаем наказа.
Готов?
Латниц. Готов.
Ожидайте наказ.
Лучник. Симпатии напрямую. Сила. В ряду. Строй держите латницы. Ожидать. Да. Приготовь. Выступ. И на. Время. Долг.
Не удержусь!
Исполнено будет. Высти. Лучник сейчас. Ожидать.
Don't run that way.
Готов, если служите. Служите, раб, если. Готов повиноваться.
Why are they going back?
Готовим. Готов повесохощи. Святость освещает путь. Время. Люди, сейчас что делаете? Приготовляйтесь. Готов. Стремлюсь к добродетели. Люди, сейчас начну делать.
Эти трудницы надо присутствовать.
Наказ слушать.
Дайте мне работу.
Надо напустить. Приготовляйтесь, воины.
Что накажете?
Быстро.
Люди, трудитесь и друг.
Время действовать. Ожидаем наказа. Готов. Луч, да. Латниц, готовит. Предупустник. Готов есть. Готов есть. Луч. Предупустницы. Седлайте. Приготовляйтесь.
Ожида. Направляюсь, куда наказано есть.
Слушайте все, трудитесь надобно. Наказ слушайте.
Готов. Повиновайтесь.
Готовы, если потрудитесь.
Приготовляйтесь, воины.
Ожидайте наказ.
Луч, да.
Исполняем. Воини, слушайте.
Часов велите. Слушайте. Время действовать.
Повинуюся.
Идти надо на подбор. Таков наказ есть. Приготов. Слушай. Готов. Исполнено. Приготовляйтесь, воины. Приготовляйтесь наказ. Слушайте все. Всем надо.
Ожидайте наказ.
Слушайте все. Готовим. Приготовим.
Приготовляйтесь. Наказ снов есть.
Приготовляйтесь.
Слушайте наказ.
Наказ. Приготовляйтесь.
Накажете.
Слушай. Надо напустите.
Готов, слушайте все. Иди трудницы, трудитесь.
Латницы готовы. Время действовать. Латницы, наконец. Готов, если служить. Сейчас.
Ожидайте наказ.
Служите. Готов.
Иди трудиться надобно.
Приготовлять. Латницы наказа ожидают. Готовим. Сила. Приду стоим. Готов. Лучница. Да. Время. Повинувы. Приготовить. Восстание. Готов. Как накажет. Готовы будете, воины. Лучник конный готов. Приготовлять. Слушайте все.
Куда то сейчас начну делать?
Сделано. Время.
Слушайте наказ снов.
Какой наказ есть? Приготовляйтесь, наказы.
Ожидайте
Готов,
наказ.
если служите. Наказы.
Воини, наказ снов есть.
Наказ, я как трудитесь.
Латницы, наконец!
Ожидайте. Напрежь быстро зело. Слушаемся. Сие.
Конь оседлан есть. Поревник готова.
Приготовляйтесь, воины.
Слушай,
Not nearly enough production. I'm struggling with that right now.
готовы.
Лучник конный готов.
Куда слушай,
Повинуюсь,
древеса
сечь.
всегда надо вносу. Идем. Иди трудницы надо внесу.
Приготовляйтесь. Готов.
Воини.
Надобно в путь идти. Дайте мне работу.
Трудитесь. Приготовляйтесь. Сейчас.
Приготовляйтесь.
Готовы будете, воины. Будь мой честный. Сделайте. Идти надо на поскон.
You still have food on your PC, that's crazy.
That's the very end of it. Not that I should be telling you that, but
Слушайте наказ ворога. Ожидайте наказ.
Слушайте все. Трудитесь надо. Время. Какой на... Служите, рад. Послушали. Исполнено. Слушайте.
Трудитесь. Слушайте. Наказ. Слушайте.
Трудитесь на пьять. Приготов. Долг есть. Латницы наказа ожидать. Останете, воини. Латницы, наконец.
Люди, приготовившись.
Готовы будете, воины. Слушайте. Идти надо на поспору, так? Ожидаем наказа. Предустаю. Латницы, наконец садитесь. Латницы смерти. И латницы готовы. Ожидать. Лучницы кони. Напрямик. Луч. Наступаем. Пупном. Направляем. Готов. Луч. Туда.
Приуготовляйтесь.
Служ. Выступать. Спокойно. Приготовляйтесь.
Приуготовляйтесь.
Служите, рад, если.
Противник. Близ стоит.
Время действовать.
it hurts.
Yeah, it's rough.
Латницы смерти. Готов. Повинуюсь. Уразумею. Латницы наказ. Какой наказ есть? Готовы будете, воины.
Конь оседлан есть. Поребник готов.
Готов.
Конь оседлан есть. Поребник готов.
Приготов. Восстань. Наш луч. Слушаюсь. Латницы смели.
Поребник готов наступать. Ожидаю надо внесу. Ожидаю наказа. Слушайте все. А куда направляйтесь? Поребник готов.
Готов. Святость. Готов. Сделал. Часоху.
Конь оседлан есть. Поребник готов.
Исполнено будет.
Сила.
Ожидаю наказа.
Вас. Латницы. Наконец.
Поребник готов наступать. Трудницы надо внесу.
Какой наказ? Поведу.
Куда на...
Время действовать. Идти надо на поскору. Таков наказ есть.
Конь оседлан.
Готов.
И латницы готовы. Придут лучницы кони. Напрямик. Ожидаем лучницы кони. Напрямик. Придут лучницы. Седлайте коней. Садитесь на коней. Слушаются. Готовые сейчас. Латницы наказа. Лучник конных лучниц. Сейчас. Латницы на коней. Послушание есть добродетель.
Уже збираю древеса, якови.
Время действовать.
Куда направляйтесь? Наказ. Надобно в путь. Поребник готов наступать.
Слушайте все.
Приготовляйтесь.
Ожидаю наказа.
Оружие готовите, наступаем!
Куда направляйтесь?
Готов, есмь. Приготовить. Посмотрите оружие, наступаем!
Слушайте, едем. Ожидаю.
Слушайте все.
Конь оседлан есть.
Слушайте все. Готове.
Куда на...
Приготовляйтесь. Выступайте доблестно, воине.
Наказ слушайте.
Готов,
Слушайте
есмь.
все.
Служите.
Конь оседлан есть. Поребник готов.
Видите, что надо посмеяться.
Готове будете. Время. Приготовляйтесь. Сила не
Поребник готов.
повинуюсь. Приготовляйтесь наказы. Ожидаем наказа.
Ожидаю.
Готов. Восстанете, воине. Готовы. Сила. Сей.
Конь оседлан. Наказ слушайте. Идем. Надо найти.
Oh, you snuck that in there?
Oh, I've been there for a
Did you
while.
have him in there before? I was gonna say, did you have him in there before I closed that up? Okay.
I had them in there for like the past 3 minutes, maybe.
Слушайте все.
Just patrolling the bot resource. I didn't actually see that you were farming. So that's kind of funny.
Люди приготовьтесь. Люди приуготовляйтесь.
Готов.
Люди приготовьтесь.
Готовьте.
Поребник готов. Служит.
Готов. Туда.
Укажите. Куда направляйтесь?
Yeah.
Конь оседлан есть. Поребник готов. Ожидаю.
So my comp was entirely wrong for fighting horse archers from the get-go, which was painful. I feel like a proper comp should have involved Jukanu from earlier, but not super early. Probably sometime after my first couple of nights. Okay.
Все идем.
My what? Yeah.
So, I want to hear your thoughts about your
many
approach
thoughts,
here in
okay.
the middle game, because the early game was very good from you.
Okay, so mid game, that's when I started losing the. So I started having way too much float, and so I was losing each of my little individual fights because I didn't have the units that I needed out on the field at the time I needed them. That was one of the bigger things that I messed up. I didn't have wood to drop the production that I needed. That was incredibly painful because I had resources, just no way to spend them. So
Yeah, you're floating a lot, actually.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It was horrible. I had like 1,200 food and 1,200 gold or something like that at one point.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I did not. I was not flexible enough into changing what I was fielding.
Hmm.
So I was initially just going too heavily into Lancers and did not make a transition afterwards. And then I was just slowly losing map control because of the little individual fights that I kept losing left and right.
Yeah.
So, but I think mostly it came down to poor macro. Once I got the first couple of units out.
Because we know that you have a float issue here, and
Yep.
it's like, yeah, we can talk combat stuff, and I think that's important. But understanding that the primary reason why you don't have enough units to fight me is because you're not making them, and you know that you
Yep.
didn't make enough production.
Yep.
Okay. So your early game was good. You had that little issue with the scouts. That was also a chance thing. A lot of the times we have this scout thing happening against Rus, where they are waiting for their pro scout upgrade, and then the Rus is basically just causing idle time, you know, villagers pathing, and it's delaying your pro scouts. It's also kind of like the same as you having to pull away from your gold, right? Because your builds are idle, right? But other than that, your early game was very good. You had a good amount of scouts. It's the correct way to deal with Roost here. I would have liked if you made one horseman, just like here. Because what it'll do is it'll be very annoying for me when I have to take deer home. But again, you can also just go for the scout approach and then contest. Your problem here, can you identify it? We're 5 minutes into the game. We talked a bit about
I
it.
don't have pro scouts and I don't have units out. It's both.
That's one more thing, and it's not related to something, you know, in the game.
Oh, and I don't have a tower on my gold.
Towers aren't so important against Rus because they usually don't open up with stable or anything. You can scout your way there to see what am I going with to open with. I also just reached feudal, so you don't need a tower.
Yeah.
No, it's your minimap. Look at the way that you've scouted this with.
Yes.
It's like, what do we
I
see?
didn't make my way back over.
Yeah, you don't see your main resources. You don't know where your second gold is. You don't know where your second berry is. You only know your third berry. And you don't know, most importantly, where your other deer pack is. You've seen 2 deer packs of mine, and you've seen yours here. So that's a problem for you as Juji when you scout like this, because you can't find the best meditation garden spot, and you also can't figure out where am I going to scout and where's my opponent going to pro scout. So in this situation, you've already messed up a lot because you're really limiting yourself. You don't know that there's a boar and deer up here, and you don't know that there's, you know, all these resources down here. Let's say you had double deer pack here. That would be very nice for you because all of a sudden you can still play pro scouts for sure.
Right.
But you can sort of very easily say, okay, I'm just going to make a couple of spearmen because then I can defend those 2 deer packs very easily. And then I can go for fast castle. So that would be something that I would consider in that situation. Here you're playing with a bit more of an open double deer thing. So you can consider doing a little bit more of a cavalry approach because you have more ground to cover. But spears are still fine.
Yeah, fascinating.
Just want to pay attention to those things. You need to scout all 5 relics. Otherwise, you're going to be useless in the relic phase, which is when we hit castle, which we do pretty much at the same time. You only have 2 relics scouted. So if you look at the minimap now, you can see, yep, we most certainly are missing a lot of information.
Yes. Yeah, I prioritized getting info about what you were doing, and that. Well, and then I spent way too long here.
I think we've stood here for a few minutes, actually.
Yeah.
This was really good. The way that you had your scouts attack me, you microed this well. And you had that +1 scout as well, so you have secured yourself a deer pack here. Good. Now where's the other one? The mistake I make here is I go back. Because I was like, okay, I should actually have gone for your top one.
Yeah, and as soon as I saw you cutting across, I knew where you were going, and I knew it had to be up in that general direction. So like deduction wise, I knew it was up there, but exactly where? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were like, you'd scouted the whole map, but maybe you hadn't scouted this corner, but it's much worse. So we can't just use deduction here. We have to get better at scouting.
Makes sense.
But yes, let's say you hadn't scouted this corner, then you would know, okay, the deer's there. Well, that is true.
Yeah.
And now you go for the Shaolin Monastery here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Do you know the difference between going Shaolin Monastery and going for Mount Lu? Why would you
Mount
do
Lu,
that?
Mount Lu, I could have had a lot more aggression. I went with the Shaolin because I was wanting to try to get the timing on going after those relics.
Okay.
And I wanted to try to contest those relics. But
Mhm.
this gets into I didn't have the production down enough to contest them
Mm.
at that time. And so I lost the tempo that I was going for there when I did that too.
Yeah. I think it makes sense for you to go Shaolin Monastery here. You're going to be having good range armor on those units, plus it's very easy for you to make them, because you can make them with this food income that you have. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In what situation would you say, okay, I'm gonna, let's say we're both pro scouting, but let's say I go full aggression. Do you think you should still go Shaolin Monastery, or do you go Mount Lu?
No, if you were doing fuel aggression, absolutely not. That would be, I need to get units out and I need to get them out fast. So I would get the supervision upgrade
Mm,
and get some beefy units out.
okay.
And that's like, I mean, if you're going all in feudal, certainly like I need production and I need
Yeah.
that more than anything.
Yeah. I would say both are good, but in different situations. So Mount Lu is definitely better for just getting a lot more out of a few production buildings with the supervision upgrade. But looking at Shaolin Monastery, it's a really cool thing because you have production as well in that. You have those monks and they're quite good as well as units. So it's what your sort of comp demands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to produce a lot of cavalry or a lot of range units or something instead of this melee thing that you get from Shaolin. Then maybe you want to go for Mount Lu instead. So there's not necessarily a wrong choice here. There's just two right choices.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that we go Shaolin Monastery. Makes sense. Remember that you get a rebate on upgrades and stuff. So I think it's 16 gold or something. So here you would probably want to go for a few of those upgrades because you're not going to need 500 gold. You have the monks coming out of Shaolin Monastery. You have the stable making lances. So in this situation, you would definitely get wheelbarrow and double broadaxe. It's really important. You get your tower now. Towers. And now you know you're up against knights. So lancers as an answer makes sense. I want to start produce a little bit earlier, but it's fine. But you only know where the position of 3 relics are currently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get 1 relic this game?
I do get one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other part is I had that guy just hanging out for way too long, so I could have been going out to grab this other one in the meantime. But he was just not rallied like I thought he was. So he didn't go anywhere.
Right. And then you have a lot of scouts here in your base as well. And now you see horse archers. So when you see horse
And
archers,
that's when I
what can you
needed
do?
to immediately. That's when I needed to immediately start changing track. I needed to get in, get on that wood line, get different production down so that I can be able to answer that. And for me, answer to that in my mind is Yukonus.
Okay, Shugenus. Okay, what's the problem with Shugenus and the horse archers? We talked a lot about it before.
You can always just choose to run away.
Yes.
That's
so if you
one
go
of the biggest things.
Shugenus... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was saying the other thing I was starting to mix in was the horsemen to try to also help with that too.
Yeah. So horsemen are a good choice. They still take a lot of damage though. So you need a lot of horsemen. So you can sort of take 2 approaches. Either you need to get a lot of units in the field, you need to do some sort of aggro play. And that's hard against horse archers and Rus in general. Because Rus is also really good defending. What's the other approach you could take?
Try to play a more macro game.
Exactly. So if you play a more macro game, what would be the approach here then? Is it then okay to go Shugnus?
Yes, because the goal would be to take a defensive approach. You can
Uh-huh.
drop. Yeah, I mean, like you could even drop a siege workshop and drop a nest of bees to try to bunker down while you wait for your eco to kick in.
Yeah. So economically on 1TC, you want to have like at least 2 relics, and you can get that. You just made a mistake here. And then you can make a decision. Do you want to go 2TC or stay on 1TC, castle all in type of thing? And so far, a lot of horse archers are messing you up. And you already have a really good spawn with back golds. You have a good woodline spawn with 2 relics. Things are looking good, right? You have access to the resources you need. So the approach you would take here is to say, okay, I'm going to go Jiangnan Tower. I'm going to play a macro game, so you always go Jiangnan Tower, because then you can build farms easily. You can build your second TC for cheap. And then you already have the stone you need, so you don't really even need to upgrade your towers. You'd have half already gathered. So you would just get your stone.
Yeah.
Second TC, put it right beside it. Start walling a little bit here. Play Nest to be, maybe Sugar News. And then it's up to me where I want to take the game.
Yeah, because I lost my initial early win condition already by this point of like I have lost the tempo advantage out on the field. I need to turn it into something else at this point.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing. I think Roos a lot of the times just plays 2DC here and uses cavalry to get a lot of, what would you say, a lot of extra value out of the units to cover for that investment. So you might want to think about doing that as well. He just starts to float. And I would say, if you don't float as much, you would sort of have your second TC already. Or play Shuganu Spear or whatever you decide to crossbow, right? But we need to know right now what direction I'm taking the game. Am I going for that second TC or not? We don't scout right now, so we don't know.
Yeah, you had me pretty well pinned in. I kept trying to sneak out a couple of units here and there to try to see what was going on. And then at that point, I think you wrapped around here, and then I managed to get out and try to do some counter raiding here. But I lost a good amount of vills on that, though.
Yeah. You lost a lot of vills here because I knew that you went out, so I just went in. Right. We talked about that last time, the rotating thing. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go where my opponent isn't. Okay, he went out. Well, he's not going to be able to do much. I thought I had built a tower here. I made a mistake. My vills were also going back. It was a little bit of a mistake from me here. That could have cost me a lot more vills than it did. So that's a side note there. There should have been a tower here, right? So it's hard for you to raid this base, plus I can run back all the time. At your base, you're going to have a lot of vills condensed here. And for me to just go in and be willing to lose a few units and then kill 5, 6, 7 vills, that's really strong. I don't need to, but it's really strong. I think this is also the time where you see I go for the second TC, which should be a cue for you to say, okay, cool, I'm doing the same thing. But yeah. And if you see somebody going 2TC, you can even consider going 3TC. But it depends.
I do not remember seeing that second TC. If I had, I would have done a different action for sure, but I don't think I noticed it. I must have missed it.
You had these knights coming in the back, and then you saw it. Because I built it on top of the knights, basically. You should see it. But yeah, we've lost so many units now that it's very, very difficult for us to defend.
Yeah.
Here, it would be nice to have a Shuganu switch, not a calf switch. So your production buildings are wrong. Start with a stable, then you can do like a double arch range, barrack into workshop or something.
Not to mention placement of those made it very easy to... Oh, and there's where you drop that. And at this point, I was so back and forth in between these two units that I didn't even see you did this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an important one, right? Because you need to know what type of approach I'm taking. I'm not looking to all-in, even though I could play that style. I'm playing it more safe. And I didn't really just want to all-in you, because I also wanted to give you this part of the game, which is very important. The strategic decisions of mating early castle after the relic games, typically. Especially in the pro scout matchups. So looking at a game like this, you would try to figure out at this stage, where am I taking the game because I have the lead, and then you would make a follow-up. You can also go on and take a risk and just try to sneak a second TC in anyways. That's another way to win the game. So sometimes you might be in a bad position. You have to take a risk, right? We have to be willing to do something that's maybe, isn't going to work on paper. But if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Because I think villager-wise right now, you're 10 bills behind.
Yeah.
Plus you lost a few officials. So, it's a very rough position. I would also start my farms already, right? Xingnan Tower.
That's what as soon as I ran into the food issue, I'm like, ah, shoot, and I needed to do that transition a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need the farms. You need just like one granary. You don't need to make 3 and play for like imp. Just one granary and then start surrounding that with farms. It's easy for you to defend it if you get a wall here.
Yep.
And it's going to give you a ton of food if you supervise it. This is sort of the difference we talked about if you were to play Chinese. This is where Chinese and Shushi would maybe be a little bit different. You would have Song Dynasty coming in now, if not earlier. Maybe a lot earlier, actually. And that would give you that villager increase. But it would also be the time where you would start thinking about, okay, I'm going to go for the granary transition now. Get farms, and then maybe even skip the second TC for now. Just start playing more map control, because you will be playing with like 5% map control if you play 2 town center now. You are behind in units. The way you break out of it is to, yes, scale. But if you're not scaling, then you're going to lose in the long run.
Yep, makes sense.
So these knights here, I really wouldn't make knights when the game is done. The reason knights are good is because they're fast and they do a lot of damage. But they fall off very quickly against horse archers or crossbow spear or something. And then we also lack info, right? We don't really know what's happening besides... Like, we could very well be, facing 70, 60 units here ready to just ball us, right?
Yep.
But what's actually happening is I'm adding in a 3rd town center in a moment because I have you so pinned in your base. So the longer the game goes, the better it is for me.
Yep.
And here you can see how the...
Yeah, and then keep adding in these knights. This was like, that was never going to work. So
It was never going to work, no.
Streaming those in.
I see a lot of like Shushi players. They'll play like Shuginu Spear in Feudal and just contest their 2 safety attacks. Maybe go for your opponents if they can, but they play, Archer Range Barrack Opener. And then when they get into the Castle Age, they already have, 8 Shuginus, 6 Shuginus, maybe 10. It's like they'll upgrade those, and then on top of that, they start making crossbows, so they already counter both of the enemy units here. They have spears, so I can't go close to you. Which means I'm going to play mass horse archers, and then you play Nester Bees, and all of a sudden you have a really good counter comp that you led into.
Huh.
That is something to think about.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
The question is if it's necessary. Because you already did well in the scout game. But they would feel a lot better than having knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was actually a good fight for you. You, of course, have your numbers kept low, and that's why I keep taking these fights. I can afford to. But you also take good fights. And if you had a better comp, you would take even better fights. And 2 Nester Bees, I can't even attack you.
Yeah.
But at this stage, it's like,
That makes
okay,
sense.
I'm
I
full
feel
sacred
like...
site, 4 relics, 3 town centers, and I'm pinned in my base. It's like, shit.
Yeah.
Not fun. Yeah.
But I feel like that's a good starting point of like, okay, given this, like, what are the things that to do differently? Okay, so say say you lose the starting tempo that you had. You got out on the map, you started to get relics, and then you start losing that. All right, like, okay, how are you actively transitioning into a new winning advantage? And that's what I was not doing, is I was reactively acting to a stimulus, which was like the external pressure that I was being pushed on. And the way that I was reacting to it was just like, okay, let me just keep doing more of the same thing because that's going to work. And like, obviously, we know that didn't work. So
Yeah, we are fighting two different
flexible.
fights in the same fight. You, every fight, go into the fight thinking, okay, I'm going to win this fight. I'm going to take better trades. Whereas I'm taking every fight and thinking, okay, this fight is going to keep him in his base longer. I'm not thinking about each fight. I'm thinking about the grand scheme of just attacking you and keeping you in your base.
Yep.
It's two different objectives. And you want to think about that because every fight you take will be kind of bad for you because you'll lose units and you'll be kept in your base. Even if you take a good trade, you can't move out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you gotta have that win condition of the second TC.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're never gonna win this game. Yeah, that's kind of a lot of stuff as well to think about, and a lot of things that we could have done better. If you want to, we can redo the matchup,
Sure. Try it
and
again.
then we'll call it there afterwards.
Sounds good.
Cool.